guys, welcome to another week of the Monday Huddle, where you're going to learn tips, tricks, ideas, how to beat your Monday and do something amazing. I'm G.
I'm Derek.
And here we go with another quote for the week.
Now listen, G, before we jump in to the quote that we have for the week, I want to know, do you have like a favorite quote? Like, do you have something that you use all the time that maybe captures something? Like, for example, in the last episode, we talked about, my quote was, I don't lose, I learn. Like, there's so much in that quote. What about you?
So the quote that I love to use is, I don't know what I don't know.
You do say that.
Yeah,
I've heard
and
that
so
before.
it allows me to remain in a posture as a sponge when I'm in a room around people that know some stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to learn because I want to be greater, and the only way to learn to be great and learn to just do some things that I have not already done, I got to follow and learn from people that have already been there.
Yeah, I gotta be curious. I don't know what I don't know. Yeah. Another one that we use in my house, you know, it's a pretty popular one passed down through the ages, is your mom. Your mom. Me and my kids say this all the time. Like, I'd be like, yo, take the trash out. They'd be like, your mom. Right? Yeah, like, I'd be like, yo, did you do so and so? And they'd be like, your mom. And they'll ask me something. I'd be like, your mom, like your mama. And somehow we've happened to fashion this very potentially insulting phrase of your mom, and we made it endearing, and we use it around the house.
Yeah, I love that. That's
what about
so
you
cool.
guys?
You know what? I know a lot of your mama jokes.
Do you?
I do.
We call them the dozens growing up.
Oh, yeah?
Like, y'all play the dozens? Oh, I know we're not playing the dozens.
Yeah, you might get beat up in New York after you say a couple and you say one good one,
Yeah.
right? And so, but at my house, we created a quote. It's really simple. You know how there's the Ebonic dictionary, right? There's
Yes.
some words like, if something tastes good, it's bussin'.
Or smacks. Like,
Right.
yo, that smacks.
Yeah,
That's
you
bussin'.
know.
Yeah.
So in New York, right, if something was good, they would be like, oh, that's butter.
Ooh, okay.
Right, nice car,
Yeah,
something,
butter.
whatever. So we created in the Rivera household a simple word,
You're really building this up.
and it is the word me.
Like,
M-E.
me? Just me.
Yeah, and so depending on the emotion that you attach to it, that's what it means, right? So if somebody says something hilarious and you're cracking up and you're like, me, right?
Yeah.
And you keep laughing. Or if somebody says something like, that was dumb, right?
Oh, you mean.
And they're like, me.
It means so much.
It means so much. But in our home, all of our kids use it.
Yeah.
We use it. And it's really hilarious. Nobody else would know what we're talking about. And
But
so
you guys
that's,
know.
But we know.
And this is why I love like these little quotes or these little sayings, right? I know we use them here on the show because they're great like launching points for our discussion. They're great conversational pieces. But like sometimes like you hear a phrase or a quote, a song lyric, something from a movie. Me and my family, we like speaking movie quotes a lot. It's because they capture what we're feeling or what we're trying to say. And behind it, there's so much. But if somebody else is familiar with the quote, you say it, but you don't have to say everything that comes with it.
That's right. Well, I think that we lose emotion, or we lose the sentiment that we're trying to communicate when we get too wordy.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier. This is why, commercials or companies have little slogans. They're really quick, or organization has a vision statement. You capture it, and it's made an impact.
Yeah.
So when you use a quote that you could be like, ooh, yeah, and it really captures you and it impacts you, it's so much more than having a 20-minute speech.
Absolutely.
That a lot of times we wind up turning off after about 2 minutes. Because adults have an attention span of about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Well, congratulations, y'all made it. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And just think of like how short a child's attention span is for that.
I think it's like 20 seconds. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. 20 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
So these quotes, they are to impact your life.
Yeah.
They've impacted our lives.
Yeah.
And there are some things that we have heard in our lives that have changed the trajectory
Absolutely.
of where we were headed.
Absolutely.
I can name a bunch.
Yeah. Like just go down from my dad, my uncle, friends, I think we think in bite-sized pieces.
So I was in a Marine of the Quarter. It's a battalion of about 2,000 Marines.
Okay.
And I was a sharp Marine. Listen, I was hardcore. So I'm competing against 5 other Marines out of 2,000 that are considered the top Marines.
Okay.
And I came in the second place.
Wow.
I won the second time that I appeared before the board, but the first time I came in second place. And you know why I lost? Because I was sweating.
You were sweating?
I was sweating. And the sergeant major said this, never let them see you sweat. I remember that.
I remember that moment. That's good. So I love that. Like, so before we jump into our episode today, like, if you have a quote that is meaningful to you, we want to engage with you not only here, because right here, G and I are having a good time, and we're essentially information dumping, like content dumping on you. We're throwing some gems, some bombs your way. But very rarely do we get an opportunity to hear from you all and to talk to you all. So today we are opening the communication doors. Feel free to drop your favorite quote, song, lyric, movie line in the chat section. And if you share it, go ahead and share it with that quote as well. People won't know what it is, but we'll know what it is.
Right. That's right.
And those things are beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you all for engaging us here. So let's jump into the show.
Go for it. Tell us
So
about
our quote today is, you only have one life. And it is very precious. And there's a lot we can do, and there's a lot that we should do. We only have one life. I'll say it again. And it is very precious. And there's a lot that we can do, and there's a lot that we should do. Selena Gomez. Shout out to Selena Gomez. Thank you for sharing that quote with us. Gee, that's a mouthful. We only have one life. And there's a lot that we can do. In fact, there's a lot that we should do. How does that impact our week, our day, more specifically, our approach to Mondays?
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Ooh.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, so often.
That's a quote. That's something people say. My
It
mama
is a
used to
quote,
say it.
yeah.
How come you didn't do it? Oh, mama, I was gonna do it, but and she was like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I know everything that it means.
Yep. So I think a lot of times, we get to a point and we look back. Here's another one. If I would have known now.
What I know?
No, the
If I
other way
would've
around.
known
Then what I know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much further we would have been along the way.
Yeah.
And so I think that, when we look at life, the things that we should be doing or we could be doing, we limit, right? And I know that we've been kind of on this, the mindset, being disciplined and all of that stuff, but to drive home the point, it's so important for us to not live with regret. That's the biggest thing, is when you wake up, think about when you were younger, right? Maybe a girl that you were interested in.
Yeah.
And you could have asked her to prom. And now you are living for the rest of your life.
Wondering.
Or how about the job that you didn't apply for, right? And you're like, man, I wonder if I... And so regret is tied to the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
You have any regrets?
I do. I think about coming home from school when I was in Iowa, not finishing playing football. I think about jumping out too early and getting married young, and what would happen if we would have waited to have kids or had kids earlier, or if we would have bought that house when we shouldn't have bought it, or if we would have invested, or we would have... I got a lot of stuff that if I go back and I pinpoint those specific things that I didn't move on, or that I did move on that I shouldn't have moved on, my life looks completely different.
Yeah.
And so I think that the ones that I look back on less are the ones that I was hesitant about, and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless of the outcome, I did it and it didn't work out, but now I know that it wouldn't have worked out, versus I didn't do it and now I'm wondering. I think I have a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I think trying to live a life that's full, and if you're making those decisions to do it or not to do it, as long as you do it on purpose,
That's right.
and you live with intentionality, I think that's how you remove regret.
Yeah.
I think you can consider and always wonder, but regret, I think, it's the consequence, or it's the result of indecisiveness, right? I don't know if I can quote that. Can I quote that? That regret is the consequence or the result of indecisiveness. Like when we're like, ugh, and we kind of let life make the decision for us.
Let's make it a quote.
We're going to make it a quote,
make
right?
it.
Let me clean that up. Regret is the result of indecisiveness. When you are unsure about something and you kind of let life make the decision for you instead of you making the decision for your own life.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about Monday. We're in the huddle. We're here with you all.
That's right.
We're not speaking at you all. We're speaking with you
That's
all. Because G said last episode, we're not perfect. We're still figuring it out. We've just come across some things that have worked for us and that have worked for people that we're sharing with you. I went to school with a guy. His name was Greg. And Greg played football. And I remember Greg thinking, he shared this with us. He was like, oftentimes, when he was a defensive back, oftentimes when the ball came my way, I thought I could have got that. And we were like, well, how come you didn't? He was like, well, I mean, I'm not starting anyway. I'm not going to get no game. Like, no matter what I do in practice, it doesn't transfer to the field. So I'm okay with knowing that I could have. But to me, like in football practice, like I was somebody that they called a gamer. I hated practice. I hated lifting weights. I hated working out. But like when the lights came on, I showed out. I was there. I was there. But I hear coaches they used to tell me all the time, like, I wish you would practice the way you played. Right? And I shared the same mentality with Greg, like, oh man, I could have done that. Or I could have did that. I just didn't. And I'm suffering, right? The impact of that mentality now as an adult. Right? There's things that I think of like, oh man, I could have did that. Or man, I could have did that. And there's a gap between what I could have done, what I should have done, and what I actually did. And I think that's where misery lives.
You know, that's incredible because I'm the reverse, right?
We talked about this.
Yeah, I'm the reverse in that when I was growing up in New York City, basketball was everything, right? Nobody played football because all of the drug dealers, they got arrested and all of the equipment would be gone. And there was nobody to play because everybody was in jail.
Yeah,
but
that's
basketball, but basketball was a big deal. And I had handles. I mean, I still got some now. Maybe if I get in shape a little bit more, my handles.
He can move well. Don't let him talk to you like that.
So I could get around. I was a great point guard during practice. Or when we were playing street ball, I was amazing, right? But then I got under a coach, and he would always tell me, stop hot dogging. And so I would do amazing everywhere but during the game.
Wow.
Because during the game, I'm trying to do what I was coached to do, and I was someone different than who I was naturally. Right?
Yeah.
And I look back now, and I'm like, I should have just went out there and been like Will Smith and
Bel Air.
give Will the ball.
Give him the ball.
You get the ball, you dribble it upfield, or up court, give it to Will.
Yeah.
You inbound the ball, give it to Will.
I love that.
I should have been Will Smith on my day.
And see, that's what we're talking about. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we could have done. There's lots of things that we should do. The gap is like, how do we go from I could have done it to I'm doing it?
Yeah.
And I think that is like decisiveness. That requires some reflection. Last episode, we talked about like after we make a decision, after we have the conversation, going back and kind of hovering over that moment and reflecting and figuring out as objectively as possible what we could have done, what we should have done, and not letting that be the same case moving forward. I think that's really important when we're thinking about this quote. It's like, we only get one life. There are things that we could do, there's things we should do. If I could add to Selena's quote, what are we doing?
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, this is expectation. This is reality. How far are they? Because everything in between is conflict.
Yeah. Say it one more time.
All right.
That's a
right
quote.
here.
That's a quote.
This right here is expectation. This one is reality. So what you expect and a reality, if it's far, then in between, that space in between is conflict.
Yeah.
If you want a happy marriage. But the reality is that it's far from that. All of that is conflict in between. Y'all arguing, it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
If your expectation will be great, right, on Monday, but your mindset is not at that place, look at the conflict in between.
Yeah.
Sometimes conflict is with others, but sometimes conflict is within ourselves. Right? And so what's happening between the space between your ears, right, and that noggin. And so we have to get to a place where we expect great, and we allow the reality to be closer to it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that it's not only what you see naturally. I think that because what we see sometimes is not what's really going on.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to look at Mondays and say, I should apply for that next level job.
Yeah.
I should do all that I can to please my husband and my wife in regards to our marriage. I should go and open up that business account.
Yeah.
I should start writing that book. What are some things on this Monday and every Monday moving forward that you could put I should and I could?
Now listen, I want us to actually sit with this though. We're not just, I don't want you to just push play, listen to the whole 20 minutes, stop, and then go about your life. We really invest energy and time.
That's right.
We picked out these quotes. We're preparing for you all because we want to make sure that you're actually chewing, that you're meditating on these things, that it's causing you to reflect. Hopefully, we're either asking you questions that you thought of already, which means that you need to consider them, or we're asking you questions that you've never thought of before, which means you need to consider them.
Right.
Either way, we want you to live life on purpose, right? There's a guy that pastors a church that says, why do life alone? Why do life alone? It's this guy right here. Why do life alone?
Right.
And that means to me, like, not only with people, why do life alone? Like, you don't have to live life alone with people, but it's like, how can I make the intention to live life with purpose, right? To connect not only with people and community, but with my dreams and my goals and my passions. And I think a lot of people are living in misery and disappointment.
That's right.
They're stewing in failure because they're stuck in could have, right? In the space between could have, should have, and did, we want you all to shrink.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good practice for you all. What are my expectations versus what's really happening? If I expect to look this way, but the reality is I look this way, there's a gap in between. What covers that gap?
That's right.
Sleep, exercise, drinking water, eating better, whatever the gap is. If my marriage looks this way, but I want it to look this way, how do I bring those things closer? And when we're talking about covering the gap, remember last time we talked about hope gets us there, but hope can only be a bridge if we're walking across it.
Yeah.
We have to move towards our goals, towards our dreams. We have to be actively pursuing the things that we want.
That's right. And really challenging yourself.
Yeah.
I think that we're in a time where I used to hear this all the time. Oh, that's good enough for government work. Right? Or how about when you're in school and you barely pass a class and you're like, these get degrees.
These get degrees. I've heard
So, so we have to get to a place of measuring what we consider to be thriving, not just barely keeping our head above water.
So are you talking about moving our expectation line as well?
I think that when you achieve something, there's no other option but to say, okay, we made it. Where do we put the expectation bar to next?
Like, what's next?
Yeah.
Well, talk to people, because we talked about this as well. Talk to people who don't have a what's next in them.
You have to determine whether you want to be a manager, right? Or you want to continue to be productive, right? Think about supervisor, manager, and owner. A supervisor is just kind of like you're supervising the store. A manager manages staff so that the store can be productive.
Yeah.
But the owner is always trying to make more money.
Yeah.
Trying to gain the right staff in
Buy another
place.
store, improve price. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you want to own your life? Do you want to manage your life, or do you just want to be a supervisor?
Supervising your life. This is really good, G. And I hate that we waited to minute 19 to get into this. But I think, like, if you're supervising your life, like, if I could, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, supervising is simply like I'm watching things happen. I kind of, if something falls, I pick it up. I pick it up. If it's out of line, I kind of bump it back in. Supervising is like herding cats.
That's right. Yeah.
Managing, it feels like I have a little bit more intentionality in it, but it's almost like it's not mine, right? Managing and supervising is almost like I'm just responding and reacting to things. I have a little more direction when I manage versus when I supervise. But when I own my life, when I take ownership of not only my present, the mistakes that I made, decisions that I made, but I project forward and I own my future, that's a different kind of living.
Bro, think about this for a minute, right? Do you tell your dollar where you're going to spend it, or does your dollar tell you where it's going to spend it?
Sometimes my dollar tell me where I'm going to spend it.
Right?
It's not good financial.
No,
responsibility,
exactly.
But
So when you eat, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you what is that? Are you an emotional eater?
I am
right?
emotional eater. I don't want to be.
So I'm not putting you on blast.
Yeah, he throwing rocks over here. He throwing all the rocks.
He's like, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Don't wear it.
But The point is that a lot of times, like our food, like if it's there,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like it's calling me. I had to eat it, or you know what I mean. Like we're not telling the dollar where to be spent. It's telling us where it's going to be spent. You know, we don't know how to live in surplus,
Yeah.
right? We're just at a place where we have a consumer mentality, right? Rather than being the one that is dictating where you're going, what you're doing, how you're going to do it, how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
What you do now determines the tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And so when you own it, and when you feel like this is yours,
Yeah.
right? That you are what decisions you make will determine what's to come.
Yeah.
It's so different than a manager. Managers and supervisors don't dictate nothing, right?
They're taking orders.
yeah.
They're carrying out stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's the difference between somebody who works the conveyor belt from the owner of the conveyor belt. They don't care how much money's made. They don't care who's in what's going on around them. All they care about is that this conveyor belt needs to be working so that they can get their hours.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to be that person. Right. So where are you in your life? Are you just managing, right, and just getting by and just kind of like que sera, sera? Or are you saying, you know what, I want to be the owner because I want to dictate. I want to be more in control. I recently came back from being away with my family, and I always ask the question to my family before we come back. What did you learn in any moment of reflection? Right? And I'll share with you mine.
Okay.
Order. Order to my day. Order to my day. Because when you work for yourself and you're kind of an entrepreneur, you're just kind of like, you answer emails at whatever time.
Yeah.
Or you know, somebody called you up, you be like, oh yeah, I got the time, I'll go be there. And so blocking my day, I get up at 6 a.m. is what I do. I get up 6 a.m., 6 to 7 is my prayer time, my study time, and I've shared this before, but I've become even more disciplined with that.
Wow.
Even with my eating now, like super disciplined. Why? Because I don't want, I ask myself the question, do I want to live like I'm living right now? Now, it's not bad,
Yeah.
but 5 years from now, do I want to look back and be like, it was the same for the last 5 years?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah.
It is. I think it leads us to the back to the quote. It says that we only got one life, and there's a way that we could live, and there's a way that we should. And today we talked about the gap in between.
Yeah.
Great quote. Man, today felt a little heavy. But I think it's because we're talking about life and how we're living it. And my hope is that if you don't have people asking you these questions and you haven't thought of them before, then G and I can be those people, that voice, that kind of push you to the next level. Selena Gomez says, you only got one life. It's very precious. There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we should be doing. Question for today is, what are you doing to live a life that you want to live?
Listen, as we close today, we got some resources that will help you get unstuck and how to set some goals. If you want those, let us know. Put it in the comment. Reach out to us. Hit us up in our email, right? What is it? We'll put it in the comment. We'll put it on the deal. I can't even remember my own email right now. But we want to help you get unstuck. We want you to rebound back from the woulda, coulda, shouldas. We want to remove all of that conflict and thought that you constantly battling in your mind, and we want you to win. Thanks for chiming in. Share this with somebody. Let us know that you're watching. I'm G.
I'm Derek.
And this is your Monday Huddle.
Peace.